Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Danny. We have just seen Emmanuel Navarrete destroy Oscar Valdez to put it bluntly, Danny. Rematch from a year ago, a fight that went the distance. This fight certainly didn't go the distance. Three knockdowns in Navarrete's favor. The final knockdown coming in the sixth round, which ended the fight. What are your thoughts on what we've just seen?
Yeah, one-way traffic, wasn't it? When the rematch was announced, I don't think it was a fight people were necessarily clamoring for. Navarrete won the first fight and won it well, but it was a competitive fight. It was a good fight to watch, so I think there was appetite to see it again. I don't think anyone saw it being that one-sided. Obviously, Navarrete, off the back of the first fight, off of the back of the sort of long career Valdez has had, was rightly a favourite for this. But to be the first man to stop Oscar Valdez, dominated 90% of the fight, and even when Valdez was having success and was landing, it was doing absolutely nothing to Navarrete. A couple of the body shots maybe got his attention, but certainly nothing upstairs. It was entertaining to watch. I mean, with the success that Valdez was having, but once you saw the difference in the shots Navarrete was landing compared to the shots Valdez was landing. I mean, after what, a round and a half, 2 rounds, I was fairly certain Navarrete was going to win the fight by stoppage, and it wasn't going to take that long. And it's one of the few things I've got right tonight, and I
Hmm.
stopped him in pretty quick fashion after that.
No, we go again next weekend, Danny. Don't worry about it, mate. We'll be back. Yeah, it was a bit of a relief when the fight did get stopped, just because it was just such a dominant performance. Valdez looked like he'd been hurt, like he hadn't been hurt beforehand.
Yeah.
And yeah, personally, I was just quite relieved when the fight did get stopped. I don't think it needed to go on much longer. What's Navarrete going to do, Danny? Because I feel I've always been a fan of his. However, I've just always been a bit frustrated at his lack of commitment to one weight division, and him maybe being in weight divisions that he shouldn't really be in. I thought he still kind of looks quite fleshy at super featherweight. I personally still think he could be a force at featherweight. Obviously, had that fight at lightweight earlier this year, which didn't go his way. It's a tricky question, isn't it? But what's your kind of gut telling you? Just in terms of like not necessarily who he's going to fight, but in terms of a weight division, do you think he's going to stay at super feather for the next couple of fights at least?
You would imagine so. I mean, the move up to lightweight didn't go particularly well against Dennis Berinchik, and I know they were talking on commentary about how tough it is for him to make 130 pounds or whatever. I don't know if I necessarily buy that. I mean, they not start at what, super bantamweight? He's up 2 weights from that, fought up at third weight. But you would imagine, given how the first move to lightweight went, and the sort of queue that's forming at lightweight for big fights and world title opportunities, that financially, in terms of potential unifications and more world titles, they would be more likely to present themselves at super featherweight, I'd have thought. So I think his future will be there. I think we've seen he's a lot more formidable at super feather, certainly than he is at lightweight. So that's why I would like him to see and like him to stay, and I think he will stay there.
Yeah, no, of course. Look, some potential exciting fights for him at super featherweight. Obviously, we're expecting to see Anto Kakachi and Sugar Nunes take place in the first kind of quarter or so of next year, which is a fantastic fight happening in the division. Hopefully, Navarrete stays in that division and is involved in some big fights as well. Oscar Valdez. Third loss tonight. You see some fighters who they lose a couple of fights, but when they kind of get stopped for the first time, they then choose to call it a day and retire. Do you think that'll be it for Valdez? Nearly 34 years old now, 35 fights past his best. Do you think that'll be it?
I would like it to be it, I think. I mean, he's just being interviewed now, obviously with the TV on mute. I'm not sure what he's saying, but I think he's at that stage now where it's either retire or become an opponent to fighters that sort of decrease in quality by the fight, but that are still likely to beat you as you get worse and older. I think he's at that crossroads now. I think any chance of him becoming a world champion again is gone. without sounding too harsh. So you would like to think he's been in a lot of world title fights, big fights that he doesn't need to box again. And I think, look, like if you look every time Navarrete was landing up around the top of the head, he was just getting completely scrambled. His punch resistance definitely did not look like what it was. And there's plenty of good fighters he could beat, but in terms of big fights and what his ambitions probably are, I don't see those happening or them going too well for him. And I wouldn't like him to see him becoming sort of the B-side fighter, cannon fodder for, up and coming fighters, which I think what would not be too far away if he was to carry on. So yeah, I don't know if he will, obviously, but I hope he does.
Yeah, yeah. It just feels like Valdez had a period of kind of being one of the top fighters in his division. Remember that was the knockout of the year contender against Miguel Berchelt. I think it was 3 years
Yeah.
ago now. It's fantastic. And it feels like his time at the top has passed. And there's still the option to carry on, but he is not the force that he once was. But we'll see. All right, Danny. Good fight to end the night. It's been a long night of boxing all over the UK, and in the US and Puerto Rico as well. So we'll end it there.
And Ireland, of course, don't
Ireland
forget
as well.
Ireland.
Don't forget the return of Tyrone McKenna. Who could forget that? No, apologies to all of our Irish viewers. Um, yeah, we'll end it there, Danny, if that's all right with you, unless you want to continue speaking.
All right, mate, I'm all right. Just had to get a shout out for the return of the mighty kilt there.
Fantastic. All right, Danny, thank you for your time, and we'll speak again next week. Take care.
Cheers, mate.